Not a lot of people know about Arlington besides, when you see it on TV, when the Cowboys are playing on prime time, right? And after moving here in 2015, I've had some time to really get to know Dallas and all the surrounding suburbs. I've definitely had a chance to figure out Arlington, Texas, and just what this suburb has to offer. Now, a lot of people try and keep this place on the hush-hush, really because they just want to keep it all to themselves. And if you take a look at this kind of neighborhood right here, you may understand why. And I'll take you through this beautifully master planned community a little bit later on in the video. But first, let's hop into the pros and cons of Arlington, Texas. Now, the main reason most people know about, have heard about, or spent a lot of time over in Arlington is because of the access to all the entertainment over here in this entertainment district. There's so many concerts and bars and sports games, and of course, the Dallas Cowboys. We're right here on game day. Playoff atmosphere as the Cowboys take on the Cheeseheads in the first rounds of the playoffs. I'm telling you, this place is bonkers on game day, guys. If it wasn't 18 degrees, everybody would be outside kind of doing their own thing. You can see a few people are still out here tailgating, even in 18 degrees. Like, I'm freezing. So if you guys wouldn't mind, like the video for me. I am freezing trying to do this video for you. So as you can see, blue and white is everywhere. The grills are fired up and the food and drinks are definitely flowing. We came out here just to give you a little glimpse of what it's actually like when the games are happening. You really get a chance to take in what all the hype is like being in Cowboys country. Look, I get it. I know there's a few cities that have NFL pride in their teams, but it pales in comparison to what it's like in Dallas. Even though we've been disappointed year in and year out, it doesn't change the culture because it's rooted in the very fabric of this economy.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Now, AT&T Stadium is massive, guys, and they built it to house different events and concerts. Beyonce has played there, Taylor Swift, Bad Bunny, and numerous other entertainers. We've had different college games here. The BCS Bowls are played here, and you also have the World Cup that is coming soon. I mean, if you name it, it's probably been between these walls. Now, the area where the stadium is located is called the Entertainment District. They've been adding on to this area for years, and what they've accomplished is simply jaw-dropping. Now, if this is your first time to the channel, I'm Mark with the Property Brothers, and we help people buy, sell, and relocate to the Dallas metroplex. We get calls, texts, emails from people looking to move down to the DFW every single day. So if you're thinking about making that move, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info is down in the description below. So not only do the Cowboys play over here, but you also have the world champion Texas Rangers right next door. Now, the Rangers won the World Series this year, and we're definitely proud of the home team for that one. Their indoor stadium is equally as impressive with the retractable roof. There's glass everywhere. There's modern architecture, and what we all need in Texas, a little bit of AC. You see, back at the old stadium, which is right across the street, it was almost unbearable to sit and watch a game. The Texas heat was just not conducive to sitting in the sun, especially when they play so many of those games at the hottest point of the day. So they made the big investment to build the new billion-dollar stadium to make it much more comfortable for fans to go and sit at the games. And hey, it's paid off in spades, winning a championship just 3 years after it opened. Now, what's really bringing this area together and why it's dubbed the Entertainment District is what they built onto Ranger Stadium. Here we have Texas Live. Now, Texas Live was a partnership between the city of Arlington and the Texas Rangers. This is a one-of-a-kind, world-class dining, entertainment, and hospitality district. Guys, I'm telling you, you haven't seen anything like this. You have different bars and restaurants inside here. There's a huge open area with a literal wall of televisions. Listen, game day here is a vibe. If you're looking for game day energy without being in the stadium, this is where you want to go. There's even nightclubs inside here with the mechanical bull. There's sections if you want bottle service. I mean, it's bananas. Me and my guys came here for a New Year's Eve party, and the place was packed with people from all over. There's even an outdoor stage with local artists. They have country concerts and even other events, which are usually sponsored by Michelob Ultra and Miller Lite. There's multiple levels, there's gift shops. There's just a ton of space to have a good time with your friends and the family. Now, connected to Texas Live, they built arguably one of the nicest hotels and convention centers in Arlington. The Live by Lowe's Hotel is the first of its kind sports resort, right? This hotel is 14 stories high with 300 luxury guest rooms and some of the nicest suites this side of Texas. Listen, the premium stadium suites will run you upwards of $1,000 a night. This hotel has a resort-style pool with AT&T Stadium views. You can host conventions here in the state-of-the-art meeting rooms, and they have some nice event spaces as well. They have weddings booked here year-round. It's definitely one of the gems in this area and the real reason people come down to Arlington. Another reason the entertainment is booming over here is you have Six Flags Over Texas, there's Hurricane Harbor, and they actually have an esports arena as well, where pro esports teams battle out at some of your most popular video games. Now, Arlington has a pretty nice mall located further towards the south side and another entertainment district called the Highlands with different restaurants, there's different bars. I believe there's an improv comedy club over there. It's just a really great city with tons of options to hang out and do some fun activities. Now, when it comes to schools, Arlington isn't the greatest ISD around the metroplex. According to niche.com, Arlington received a B+ rating, which it has increased from the past years. If you take a look at the map, you can get a good idea of what the different school ratings are and how they came to that specific overall grade. And this is why you reach out to us, guys. If you're looking for a certain school rating or a certain area, we can help you find the best place for you while simultaneously ruling out the spots you don't want to be in. So Arlington ISD was rated number 401 for the best ISD in Texas, and that is going to be out of 1,052. The average SAT score is a little over 1,100 and the ACT score is about 23. There's roughly 56,000 students in this ISD and the student to teacher ratio is running about 16:1. Like I said, not terrible, but there are some other areas around the metroplex that have higher rated schools, and overall Arlington is a step above average as far as the schools go. So Arlington is basically the mid-city between Dallas and Fort Worth. Location-wise, it gives you a great proximity to two of the largest cities in Texas. You have access to one of the largest airports in the world, which is DFW, and it's about 15 to 20 minutes away. You also have access to two different lakes, like Lake Arlington, and you have Joe Pool Lake. So location-wise, Arlington is getting an A+ for its access around the metroplex. Now, one of the cons that comes with being centrally located is tons of traffic rolling through this area. So because of Arlington's location, there's a lot of traffic that's coming to and from Fort Worth. They're coming to and from Dallas. You're gonna see people going up to the airport. There's tons of interstate travel with large trucks transporting, different cargo. You have your Amazon trucks delivering all our newest gadgets and supplies. And like I've mentioned on other videos, there's still a lot of construction going on in Arlington as well. They just finished widening the highway that's close to AT&T Stadium for better traffic flow. So for several years, this used to be a traffic jam every single day, especially in the mornings during the rush hour and the evenings as well. Things tend to be backed up during the ball games or concerts and just the events that go on over there, that things tend to get backed up as well. You saw the map earlier with all the schools, which that usually comes with school zones, so things tend to get backed up there as well. So it's definitely something you should be wary of. One thing that I found in this suburb though is the back streets tend to be pretty clear most of the day. There's a couple of main arteries that run through Arlington that tend to have more traffic than others, something like Cooper Street, Collins Avenue, New York Avenue, and Pioneer Parkway. But once you know your way around, there's always a way to circumvent some of the congestion. Now, one of the really good things I can really appreciate about Arlington is they have established neighborhoods. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always admired neighborhoods with big mature trees, with all the shade cover, neighborhoods that have the creeks and all the water features. It's just one of those, it has that old school movie type of feel to it, that Leave It to Beaver type of community. Our kids play together, our families hang out. It's just really cool vibes, and it's usually what you get with these more established neighborhoods. I remember visiting family up in St. Louis when I was a child. They had a ton of these type of neighborhoods. You could ride your bike around the neighborhood. I'm not even really sure kids still ride bikes like we used to. I just got my kids some of those hoverboards, and who would have thought Back to the Future would have came true, right? It took them a little bit of time to catch on, catch their balance and whatnot. My youngest is always trying to compete and keep up with them, so I know I'm gonna have to get him one soon. So this next con is going to be a 2-for-1 as they tie into each other. So let's touch on two things that could be cons about the established neighborhoods, and particularly the ones in Arlington. So with the neighborhoods being more established, it also means you're going to have some older real estate. Now, that means these neighborhoods have a bit more character than the new builds, but they will be a bit outdated on the inside. You may have to update some of these homes in order to bring them up to your standards, like changing out light fixtures, ceiling fans, updating the paint colors, tearing down old wallpaper. I've seen some pretty old homes here in Arlington in a variety of price ranges. For instance, this home right here is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, just about 2,600 square feet of interior space, and it's listed for $510,000. It's been freshly remodeled, and it's in one of these mature neighborhoods I'm talking about. So let's take a quick look inside this home here, and I'll give you an example of what I mean. All right, guys, so now I want to give you an example of what I mean by the older real estate that has been updated. So as you can see inside this home, it's been completely gutted and remodeled, right? So they put new drywall in, new paint. They made it the white and gray themes, right? Even they changed the color of this here because that was not gray. But this right here would be your formal dining room, right? Or you could make it another little lounge area. Just depends. I would probably put a nice big dining table here because we will have another dining area. I'll show you a couple more actually in a second. It almost feels like there's 3 of them in this house. So you have your bright, open living room. They have the nice beam right here. They painted that gray and they added a nice big black fan, modernized the space. Loving this is a gas fireplace, right? And they put a new mantle on there and they kind of gray washed this stone. But again, you have the vaulted ceilings in this room, and then we'll come into your kitchen area here. So they have the quartz countertops with the veining, new light fixtures, right? I'm sorry, I should turn these lights on in here, but you can kind of get a feel for this kitchen, right? Pretty nice sized kitchen, stainless steel appliances. They've gutted the entire thing, new wood look tiles, and these are the extra long ones too, as you can see. And this area would be basically your eat-in dining room, right? Eat into your kitchen, breakfast nook type of deal. Then this leads out to the backyard. Now, another con for me here in Arlington is the real estate is a little bit hodgepodge, right? Meaning you can have a neighborhood with $200,000 homes right down the street from a neighborhood with $700,000 homes. I've seen condos ranging from 60 to 150,000 on the same block as homes going for 500 and up. So it can be a bit confusing in certain pockets, and that's just something that you typically don't see a lot. Home prices usually stay within the same range within, certain areas, but here in Arlington, like I said, there are just some pockets that are different like that. Now, another good thing about Arlington is you have access to a lot of hospitals. You have a few right there on the north side. There's a medical plaza on the south side. Arlington is about 20 minutes from Fort Worth, where Baylor Scott & White is located, and Fort Worth has numerous locations spread out throughout the city. So full disclosure, I had to take a ride to the hospital in Fort Worth from Arlington once, and it was a quick ride, right? I was having some chest pains, a little bit of an abnormal heartbeat, so they wanted to monitor me, and it ended up being a false alarm. They said it was probably because I was drinking all them doggone energy drinks, but I do remember getting to the hospital relatively quickly, so that's definitely a big plus in my book. Now for me, one thing I hate is being set up for failure. And I feel like in certain areas, you really have to be aware of where you are. And Arlington is just one of those places, right? Arlington is notorious for speed trap.
Laser locked.
That's it. 85, 85.
And you're lit up. The spotter officers are standing above I-30 on the Fielder Road overpass.
Black GMC crew cab.
Now, here in Texas, when you're on the highway, the posted speed limit is really for the lanes on the right side. You'll learn this pretty quickly. If you're in the fast lane doing the speed limit, you're going to be on the wrong side of someone's road rage. And after you become accustomed to the way Texas highways are, you're going to find yourself rolling through Arlington, and before you know it, you're going to be getting pulled over. Now, what I found about Arlington is the speed limit changes multiple times on the same highways and the side streets. Like the speed limit will be 70 for a mile, then drop to 60, go up to 65, and then drop down to 50 in an instant. Or on the side streets, it'll be 45, drop down to 35, and then back to 40. So it's something you really have to be familiar with, and I'm speaking from personal experience. My first 3 years living in Dallas, I got 3 different speeding tickets, and all of them were in Arlington. I'm telling you, the police here have mastered hiding in plain sight, and they have biker cops who really know how to camouflage themselves. So one thing I always tell myself whenever I'm in Ag Town is to be sure I'm paying attention to every posted speed sign. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, Arlington is really centrally located, and with that also comes great access to some major highways running through the metroplex. So running right through the middle of town is Highway I-30, which I-30 runs east and west through Arlington. 30 will take you to Dallas. It can get you over to Fort Worth. It runs all the way through East Texas over to Arkansas. Living in Arlington, you'll find yourself on 30 quite a bit. You also have I-20 on the south side of Arlington. I-20 will run you through some of the southern suburbs below Dallas and Fort Worth. 20 will run you through East Texas all the way to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I think it runs all the way to Atlanta, honestly. On the west side, 20 will take you to Fort Worth and almost all the way to Mexico. You'll have access to Highway 360, which is north and south and takes you to the airport and runs you into Grapevine and South Lake, which are some of the nice areas north of Arlington. 360 south will run you down to Mansfield, which is, in my opinion, the Plano of the southern tip of DFW. I mean, Mansfield has some top-notch rated schools. There's a lot of new construction going on down there, and there is a ton of land land and room to grow. There's some really big, beautiful homes down there, especially if you go to that Lagos area. You know, stay tuned because we're going to cover Mansfield in a video soon. You'll also have access to George Bush Turnpike, which is a toll road, but it gives you easy access to some of the northern suburbs, places like Plano, Frisco, and then George Bush rarely ever has any type of traffic on it, right? By far, in my humble opinion, it's one of the best roads out here. I have never hit a pothole on that road, and the flow of traffic always seemed to be consistent. Now, finally, on the north side of Arlington, you have Highway 183, which runs you parallel to I-30 and can give you access to downtown Dallas. So having multiple major roadways is definitely a convenience some of the other suburbs just don't have. Now, our last con is going to be because of the limited amount of new construction here in Arlington. Now, I'm going to give you a walkthrough and, a more in-depth look at this neighborhood right here, which is one of the few new construction areas in Arlington. But let's just touch on a few things before I do. So with the older real estate and not a ton of land to build new construction, you're going to be limited to new homes that are being built in older neighborhoods. I've seen builders buy a plot of land and build a brand new home for resale. And that really goes back to what we spoke about earlier with the home values being different in the same area. There's also some new builds over in the entertainment district that I've seen pop up because here in Arlington, Airbnb being a single family home is banned outside of the entertainment district, which is about a 1 to 2 mile, radius over there. So I've seen some homes pop up over in that area because the value has increased due to all the economic appreciation by the stadiums. But this neighborhood right here is the king of Arlington, and it's one that I'm really excited to show you. So let's start with these amenities in this community. There's a massive Spanish-style amenity centers right on the water, right? This thing has stucco exterior, Spanish roof tiles. I mean, the thing looks like it should be in Cabo on the beach. You'll have access to 5 different pools. You'll have a bocce ball court, multiple tennis courts. You'll have splash pads for the kids. You name it, they've got it. There's an area with beach sand and volleyball courts, playgrounds for the little ones, and a one-of-a-kind sculpture garden. You'll also have putting greens with covered areas for shade. Guys, this place is a masterpiece, and it's all built on this man-made lake, right? You can literally rent one of their sailing boats and spend time out on the water right in your own backyard. Now, across the street from the community, they're building some commercial shops and businesses for your convenience, and you'll also have access to River Legacy Park, which is this area's best kept secret. So River Legacy has 8 miles of paved walking trails, 10 miles of mountain biking trails. There's picnic areas, places to stop by the river. It's really a great place to have right across the street from home, if you want to go outdoors but don't have the time to travel to some of the other nature areas in the metroplex. Now, inside this community, there's a great elementary school, which will make it super convenient picking your kids up. And that's something I really feel I've only seen in Texas, with schools being right in the middle of the neighborhood. Now, as far as the real estate goes in this neighborhood, is definitely unique. You'll have luxury apartments with studios going for $1,400 all the way up to 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom condo style apartments, 1,600 square feet with luxury finishes, upgrades galore, and these larger units go for about $3,700 a month. Now, if you're looking for something to purchase, there's different townhomes in the mid 450s. We're talking 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot with modern fixtures and smart home accessories. There's some nice bungalows with rear entry garages as well. Now, what I did notice on some of these was the relatively limited yard space. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these homes are crammed pretty tight together, but I believe they're banking on people loving the amenities so much, they'll sacrifice the yard space. Now, as we come around the neighborhood, you do have some beautiful $1 million custom homes to choose from. And again, the theme we spoke about earlier is relevant even in this new construction neighborhood. There's a couple different price points throughout, all the way up to $1 million properties. So if Arlington doesn't seem like your cup of tea, there's always some other areas that we could definitely point you in the direction to. If you want to check those out, you can click on these videos right here.